Good afternoon and welcome back again today, Realty Pros. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing for the winter. So storing up now as we are in late summer for our winter months. We're in the mid to late August, and the things that we're closing on now, such as the ratified contracts and or settlements, those are things that you were working on from earlier this summer, maybe some of them from the spring. And the same too goes with the transactions that you'll be closing this coming winter. So in your November, your December, and even in your October and, even next month, we want to make sure that we do what we need to do so as to be able to have in abundance this coming winter and make sure that we're focused there. So that's going to be our topic of conversation today. Does anybody have any questions or anything before we jump right in? All right, then let's go ahead and continue. Marketing campaigns. We have talked about quite a number of different marketing types. We've talked about marketing campaigns. We've talked about targeted audiences. We've talked about even some of the pre-foreclosures and short sales that are going to come on the market this coming fall, early winter. And those are things that we want to make sure that we're prepared for. That being said, depending on your target market, your demographic might be a little bit different. Your demographic might be, moving up, scaling down. It may be, whatever your demographic is. I want to have a personal one-on-one with each of you so that we can kind of revamp what your activities should be as we go into these winter months, so that we either fine-tune your action plans that we did at the beginning of the year, or for those of you who may not have been here at that time, I want to make sure that we put some things into place, okay? We've had quite a bit going on in 2021. Trust me, we are all in the same place with a whole lot going on, but I want to make sure that we are prepared to go into the winter months strong. Does anybody have any marketing activities or campaigns that they've done that have worked well for them?
Just wanted to, Curtis has, of course. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what Anitha and Miss Pat and I have been working on. And we actually called Curtis about this weekend, this Monday. We were trying to work with Realty Track and Remine and NAR RPR, and we were having a lot of fun because Realty Track, as Steve told us last month, is now a subscription service, and so we were trying to figure out what's the best thing for us to work with at this point. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If that would be a topic for another day, that's fine also. But just wanted to throw that out there because we did have a lot of fun on Monday trying to figure it out because we were getting started with our campaigns and it didn't quite go quite the way we wanted it to.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. We have, I think it's always essential to revisit some of those trainings because just like you said, they're new additions to them, they change. And even if you haven't used them in a while, a refresher is always good. So we will touch base on Realty Track again and we can go through that process. But let me ask you guys, what are some of your interests in terms of target market? So as we go into the winter months, you're going to be looking to market to a specific market, but we don't want for everybody to do the exact same thing. What are your interests in terms of target market?
I know just my personal interest with is again kind of the short sale market. I do think that we haven't even seen what's really about to transpire over the next 3 months. And I think that it's just going to be a really good way to position yourself to market, and I'm always looking at Laurel. So I'm a big believer in wherever you live, it just makes it easier to door knock and to kind of do things. So I'm interested in helping people within that short sale space within the Laurel area.
Thank you for that. So you've actually highlighted two things, and that's great because after the question of the target market is then going to be your farm area. But Curtis has shared. So next, what is your target market? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever demographic appeals most to you, one that you would be most committed to, something that you would agree to do no matter what it looks like. So who would
Porter,
like to go next?
Ms. Porter.
Uh-huh.
So,
Hello, Juanita.
hello. Just as Dee was saying, so we have our, we're looking at the pre-foreclosures,
Mhm.
and we've, as far as the, our farm areas. So I live in 20772, and so that was my farm area. Miss Pat lives in her farm area is 20774, and
Mhm.
then Dee had a couple of farm areas also. So we were kind of like trying to approach it in that way.
Mhm. That's perfect.
So mine were 20712 and 20722.
Thank you for sharing. Who's next?
Well, Ms. Porter, I was listening to what Curtis was saying as far as doing the area that you live in, and I've done that, and I've seen, because I'm in 20716, and I've seen that, but my interest kind of lied in some areas that were a little bit further out than where I was. I'm trying to really start getting my feet wet now in doing listings. I was doing mostly trying to be a buyer's agent. Mr. Porter, that's my guy. So I was doing what he started me out doing, but now I'm starting to look into listings. But I wanted to kind of go a little bit further out. And so I'm trying to really identify some of the counties that I really think I want to be in. And so if it just means I just go out there and just drive around, and I just, go out in the morning and just stay out, and just do that area. But I'm kind of looking at going a little bit further out than the area that I live in. Because the area that I live in, I'm in Bowie, and Bowie it's not that it's saturated, but there's a lot of competition. There have been a lot of houses for sale, and there always will be, but I'm just trying to get away from the area. So I'm looking a little bit more. I'm down in Charles County, and I'm going to be looking a little bit further out in PG County, Upper Marlboro, which is not that far from me, Upper Marlboro, in those areas. So I'm trying to see what can be done in that area, and I do want to do the foreclosures. I'm interested in that, and I even said I was going to be talking to Curtis about that, because I want to kind of pick his brain and a few things as well as yours. So that's where I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at for listings in those areas.
Okay. So I'm going to challenge you just a little bit. I want you to hone it in because you
Okay.
said Charles County and you said Prince George's County.
Okay.
We'll come back to you, okay? I'm going to give you a few moments to think about specifically in Charles County where, and specifically in Prince George's County where, okay?
Okay. Got you.
All right. Who'd like to go next? What target market are you interested in, and what farm area are you interested in? All right, I'll call on a couple of you. All right, let's see. Angela, what target market are you interested in? And I want you guys to be aware that you are going to get business from various sources. So this is not at all the only source of business that you'll have, but this is where you're going to tailor your marketing to as we talk about marketing to your farm area, okay?
Hi, everyone. So I actually live in 20774, and so that is my farm area. I am narrowing down which communities in 20774 because, I'm in the process of narrowing that down, but I'm also interested in Anne Arundel County. So I'm doing a lot of work in Crofton. So, I want to put my hand in something in PG County because that's, I've always lived here. as well as Anne Arundel County, because I have a lot of activity and business over there. So more so Crofton. And that's 21114.
Okay. So 21114 and 20774.
Correct. And I'm interested in short sales, but I guess I've put a lot more focus on securing and finalizing my farm area and these two areas, a little more time and energy into that, as opposed to the short sale. I haven't done as much with that, but my interest is there.
It is well, don't worry, because between all of you, your interests are going to be very diverse and they're not supposed to be the same. If they are, that's fine. But if they're not, that's fine as well, because the goal is to identify specifically what your interests are, because that's what's going to determine how sustainable and how committed you're going to be to whatever plan of action we put in place. Okay. So no worries, whatever your interests are, whatever your target market in your farm area, it's perfectly fine. All right. Let's see. Tamika. Your target market and your farm area.
I guess for me, because I've been thinking about it a lot lately, just trying to get back into the whole real estate swing. I kind of would like to continue with buyers. And I'd like to start trying to do stuff in the Gaithersburg, Germantown area.
Now, that being said, all of us will likely have buyers at a point. So I appreciate you saying that, Tamika. I heard Kermon say it as well. I should have specified a little bit more that for the farm area piece, I want to make that specific to the listing for now, just for today's training, only because with your listings, number one, the listing, that's the name of the game. So you're going to be able to get multiple buyers just from your listing. And you get to determine what your commission is. And it's almost, well, 50% of the time, it's going to be a guaranteed commission post to the buying side. You know what I mean? So we're going to have quite a number of trainings on the buying side, but just for the sake of today, if you had to target some listings, are those going to be in the same area in your Gaithersburg area, Tamika?
Yeah, Montgomery Village, probably. Yeah.
All right, what's that zip code?
20886.
All right, thank you very much. And Talita, I know that you're working too, so you can.
No, I'm in California, actually.
This is the week you went to California.
Yeah, I'm in California, but I want to, well, my farm area is 20794, which is the Howard County, Jessup. So I want to, that in Columbia is my farm area. And I want to kind of branch out. Since I had my first sale in Charles County, I want to kind of do some work there also. And the pre-foreclosure is what I want to work on.
So pre-foreclosure. All right. So I hear 3 different farm areas. I hear Jessup, Columbia, and Charles County. So what I want to do is I'm going to challenge you to choose one, no more than 2 for now. And I say that with the caveat that you guys are going to sell homes in many different places, right? And when you sell homes there, you're going to send out your just listed. So you're going to send out open house, just listed, just sold. You're going to send out multiple just sold. So you're going to actually be sending out marketing information around every area that you settle on a property. So whether you're on the listing side or on the purchase side, you're going to be sending that out. But on an ongoing basis, your farm area is where we want you to concentrate all of your marketing efforts and your marketing dollars aside from your settlements. Make sense?
Yes.
Right. Perfect. So that's the first part of that activity. And thank you all for your contributions. That is very insightful. I see that a lot of us are interested in the pre-foreclosure in the short sale market, which is great because we have so many resources. We literally have it almost canned or in a box, if you will. So that's very good to know there. What I want you guys, we're going to break this down to a finite point because my goal is to make sure that you guys are perfectly clear, because there's so many different things that you can do, but I want to make sure that you guys are able to focus on something very specific. Okay. So in your farm areas, each one of you, there are going to be single family homes, there are going to be townhouses, there are going to be condos. There are going to be quite a number of different property types within your farm area. So those property types are going to be based on the demographic who's purchasing, quite naturally. So your condos and your townhouses, those are likely going to be your first-time home buyers, or maybe even your retirees for the one-level condos, but your single-family homes, the entry-level ones, versus the larger 5-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom. Those are going to be your scale up, versus your ramblers or your one-level, everything on just one level. Those are going to be your scale down and your retirement homes. So the question is to consider within these farm areas, what demographic you want to service. Although you can service everybody that comes to you by referral, we want to have you to hone in as specifically as possible so that you can become an expert in a certain field, so that your name will become synonymous with servicing that demographic within that farm area. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. So my question to you, let's see, Curtis, you started us all. Your target market is Laurel, and your demographic there is your pre-foreclosure or your short sales there. Tell me a little bit about the properties that you want to target up there.
Well, I would specifically like to target single family homes because Laurel has a really strong holds its property value. Single family homes can easily range from $400,000 up to $800,000. So I would rather spend my time trying to land a single family home than a condo. I could help the condo out though, but I would rather dial it into the single family homes, specifically in Laurel.
Curtis just said something very important, and thank you for sharing that. Because again, in each one of these farm areas, you're going to have varying types of properties. And as we all know, your commission is a percentage of the purchase price of the property. So as we are fine tuning what your targeted area or your target market is, it's very important that you know two of the things that Curtis just said, and that's where I was going. So I'm thankful that you said that ahead of time anyway. You're going to need to know what those values are, right? And we've had these conversations before for your farm area. You need to know what the value of a townhouse, your 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom townhouse. You need to know the value of your single family homes. You need to know the values of your condos. You need to know all those things. And then to take it a step further, you're going to go into your systems like your Realty Track and like your MLS and take a look to see which of those areas has an abundance of business for you, right? And then you're going to choose the top tier in those. And again, you can get business from each and every last one of them, but in terms of your marketing dollars, you want to make sure that you market to those that are in the top tier in terms of the top sales prices. Now, that being said, if you look at your farm area and you see that the highest homes that are being sold, they might be, depending on the price range, if they're only maybe a couple of them, a handful that are selling, you may want to target. You just want to make sure that you're strategic. Let's put it that way. You're going to target the ones that are selling most frequently and for the most. Okay. All right. So next, who went next? I think we had Anitha. You went next, and then D. So within your farm area of 20772, and I think you said Ms. Pat had 20774. What type of properties do you want to focus on?
Okay, so to be quite honest with you, I've never determined, single family versus townhouse versus condo. So if I would have to further narrow it, I would say single family. And just like Curtis said, of course, that's not all. that I would, service, but I guess, to make my target even smaller, it would be the single family.
All right, so the next step in this, and I'm going to get through the rest of you first, but where we're going is for those single family homes that are in your farm area, your assignment is going to be to find out what those subdivisions are. So you're going to need to know specifically, okay, well, what subdivisions are in my farm area? And then of these, like how many of these homes are in this farm area and what are they selling for? Because we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to be marketing. You're going to do marketing campaigns specific to what your choices are. And these are things that you are going to be committed to from now until the end of the year. So if we can take it beyond there, that's what we're going to do. But we want to make sure that we focus everybody, okay? There's been quite a bit going on that could easily take our focus, but it's time for us to refocus on finishing out strong and planning for our winter. Okay, thank you for sharing, Anita. Dee?
So when I think about 207.12 and 207.72, I'm really familiar with these areas, and mostly it's single family homes and multi-family homes, like duplexes, or I can't think of what the other ones are at this point, just going through in my head what I've been looking at. But mostly they're older. They're homes that were built early 20th century and sometimes late 19th century. So they're older and they're bigger, which is why sometimes they are multi-unit properties. I have been focused on the single family. I hadn't thought about doing the higher tier. And I have been focused on a couple of subdivisions specifically. So there are areas that I'm not even thinking about. Like, I know that the zip code is divided into subdivisions, and there are subdivisions that I haven't been looking at, although I know like my investor colleagues are really working in those areas. So things are coming to my attention all the time, but I'm really focused on two specific areas that don't actually have, they don't have subdivision names. They are the proper, they are the main divisions of those zip codes. Let's put it that way, subdivisions of those zip codes.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to challenge you. I heard you say single family and multifamily. I'm going to challenge you.
Single family is where I'm focused on single family.
Okay.
And when you said upper tier, that's where I hadn't even thought about that. Thinking about the homes that are going at the higher level of market values, because we do have homes in this area that are going for in the 700,000s. Most of them are in the 300,000 to 400,000, and that's where I've been focusing. So I was a little surprised to hear you talking about focusing on the top tier. Although Anita has been very vocal about that lately, and I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So I'm learning, I'm continuing to learn as I go.
Thank you for sharing that. Great job, Dee. One of the things that I'll say to you guys is it takes the same process and the same amount of work to get through a $50,000 transaction as it does to get through a $5 million transaction. So it is the same process.
Amen.
The same process is going to cost you the same amount of work and the same amount of time and the same amount of diligence and overcoming obstacles and challenges. So that being said, although we will service whatever market the Lord sees fit to send to us, so you're going to get referrals from various places that you didn't even market to, and we hold them up and we say thank you. And we put on our white gloves and we take excellent care of them. That being said, in terms of being good stewards over our finances, you want to target your finances in a way that's going to allow for you to get the maximum return on your investment. And if you can spend the same marketing dollars marketing to homes in the $700,000 price range, and it would cost you the exact same as marketing to homes in the $300,000 price range, and your commission for all of your labor is going to be twice as much, why
Yes.
wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
hear
thank
you.
there you go. All right. That being said, Kermon, you are next.
Okay,
So
so
you had two things for me.
yeah, basically, so I was looking at Upper Marlboro, and I'm gonna narrow the scope. I'll tell you exactly the area I'm looking in, and then in Charles County. So in Charles County, there are three divisions or three cities inside of the county. You know, I'm looking at Waldorf, and there's a certain area in Waldorf that I'm looking at, La Plata and Hughesville. So those are three of the areas that I'm looking at. I've already identified a lot of the subdivisions, a lot of the communities. Also, want to look into new construction because there's a lot of new construction out there. There's a lot of new development out there. So I want to become an expert at that. In regards to Upper Marlboro, because Upper Marlboro is so large and it encompasses so much. I really wanted to, there were two subdivisions in there that I have been to that I really want to focus on. So it's really only two places in Upper Marlboro that I'm really looking at. I'm watching very closely because homes come, they go. But I think with this the foreclosure situations coming up, I think they're going to really, because some of these are not older, some of these are higher end properties. And I think that a lot of the people, when I was looking at Realty Track and I was looking at some other places, and they were saying that a lot of those folks who had taken advantage of the moratorium on paying the mortgage, they are really, really, really behind. And a lot of them, they're not going to even be able to catch up, even if they're able to qualify for the modification. So I see where that is going. Okay. So but the main thing, like I said, is Charles County. So the parts in Charles County, just to repeat, was Hughesville, La Plata, and Waldorf, and then the parts of Prince George's County, Upper Marlboro, and there's a couple places in Upper Marlboro. So that's what I'm looking at. And they're all I'm looking at single family homes. Like I said, new construction, but single family homes. Didn't want to really look into condos, and there's not really a lot of townhouses in the areas that I'm farming. So it's really single family homes. And then later, all the way later down the line, I can see moving towards the retirement thing piece as well, because a lot of people are downsizing. So
Okay, so we're going to have further conversation around this so that we can continue to fine tune it, Kermon. The one thing that I'll say for everybody, as we're identifying your farm area and your target market, we're moving down this line of communication that's going to end with us setting, or you guys setting, what your budget is. So your budget is going to be specific to the campaign that you choose, your marketing campaign, and it's going to have to go out to your farm area. So if you have one area and you're sowing all your seeds in the same farm, then you're going to be able to see a whole lot more of a return on your investment much more quickly than if you have to put out the same marketing dollars to, quite a number of places. I do not want that to stretch you guys too thin. So although it's great to service a lot of areas, I really want you guys to focus on one, no more than two, right? So for the sake of sustainability there, I want to make sure that you're able to sustain what it is that you get started with so that you don't become discouraged, okay?
okay.
All right, Angela, in your farm area, so what property type do you want to focus on?
Okay, so in the 20774, it's single family homes.
Okay.
So that's strictly what I'm interested in there. And then the Crofton area, I'm actually interested in condos, townhomes, and single family homes. I don't know if that's too ambitious, but that's what I'm interested in Crofton, because I don't know. That's just that's just what I want to do. So I don't want to subject myself to just a certain dollar amount. I want there to be that range in Crofton where the condos that, are priced in the 200s. I want to kind of touch on all those, because one thing I'm noticing with the condos, they move quickly. People run out of space and they're only residing in them for a short amount of time. So as far as listings, I want to tap into that. And I want to do the single family homes, but the townhomes sit right there in the middle. So they're moving quickly as well. So I feel like I'll get a lot more activity if I can touch on all three.
Thank you for sharing that, Angela. Angela just said something that is very important, guys. So in terms of the homes that are going to be selling, that are selling quickly and selling in abundance, as you go back and take a look at your farm area, when I say go into Bright MLS and go into Realty Track and look to see exactly how many homes are in that area, and look, we're going to take this through step by step. So don't be overwhelmed right now. But what I want you guys to do is take a look at the market activity within your farm area and see not only how many homes are over there, but how often are those homes selling, right? Because if you choose a farm area and it's one of the areas that's not necessarily serving your first time home buyers, or not necessarily serving your scale up, but let's say by chance it's a community that is, this is the dream home community, right? And when people get here, they stay here for the last 20 years of their lives. You know what I mean? There may be a lot less activity in that area versus in your areas that are going to have a lot more activity. And the goal, or the benefit that affords, is it allows you a lot more listings because there's so much turnover in that area. So that's going to be a part of the conversation that we'll continue to dissect around your guys' farm areas, okay?
Jasmine, can I say one other thing? Another thing is, I know a lot of the times we focus on single family, and we talked about, it's the same amount of work for all of them, so why not have that larger commission? But yeah, I am leaning towards having more listings. If I can get more listings in I don't want to say lower income, but yeah, something in the 200, 300 range. I initially was not focused on that, those properties, but those people are purchasing in the 300, 400, and 500 range. So if I can get a buyer out of it, then I'll do whatever I need to do to maybe market the area where I found my buyer a property. It may open up a temporary, a door where I can temporarily market to that area. But, I don't want to discount or not include those single family homes that are priced above 500, because I do want to, I want to make more money for the effort I'm putting into it as well. So I'm going to try to fine tune and determine in those areas, because I don't think I can afford to do the entire 21114. However, I'm narrowing down which communities I'm going to focus on until I can afford to expand, for that whole zip code.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to say one thing. I hear somebody about to share. Anita, did you have something to add to that?
No, it was D. And
D.
I was just,
Okay.
I was just thinking about what Angela was saying as far as, having buyers, you can get repeat buyers from that, or referrals, continued referrals from starting in the lower range, and then they go up, and then they go up, and then they go down. You may have the same person coming back to you several times if you're working in that. So that was one of the things I got from listening to Angela talk about her diversity there. But I'm also listening to you. So I'm trying to figure out, the best way to work. And I want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to shut up.
Not a problem. So I want you to know that we're not saying two different things. All of these are different components of the same conversation, right? So as we were talking earlier about maximizing the return on your investment and sustainability and your marketing dollars, if you are able to, first of all, your commitment, which means your focus over time, and you're determining that, hey, I'm going to do this no matter what's going on. I'm willing to allocate this amount of funds to it no matter what's going on. And it's not so many things that it's going to take you out of focus to where now you're going to be all over the place, right? If you can determine that it is, your personality type, or you have accountability partner that is going to help to keep you in line with where you need to be, I really want you guys to, just really search yourself and consider Am I willing to focus on this? Because it's one thing to have, multiple areas and say, okay, this is what I'm committed to doing all day, and I'm going to make sure that I'm focused on this. But it's slightly different if you say, these are all the areas I want to focus on, and it's just going to have me all over the place. And I'm going to come to a point where I say, I'm not sure what I'm doing anymore because I'm focusing on too many different areas, which means that I'm not as focused as I could be, right? So that being said, you're each going to have, different skill levels. And that's the beauty in having a whole team, a group, a family of us here together, because we can work together. So to just, take us into the rest of you guys who need to share, if you are able to focus on more than one property type within your farm area, if you're willing to be committed to it and allocate those funds, if your budget allows for you to do multiple property types, let's have that conversation. And if those things are in line, then I'm happy for you to do so. But I'm telling you, it's going to be better for everybody as a whole. You know what I mean? If you haven't mastered that just yet, as a whole, it's going to be better for you to focus on one thing at a time. And then as you master it, you add something else. And once you've mastered that and you have your marketing campaign down and now it's automated, if your bandwidth can sustain it, then you add something else. But I don't want you guys adding too many things all at one time, because it's the easiest way to get off focus. Okay. So for Damika. Well, first of all, before we go to Damika, does anybody have any questions about what I just shared?
I think it's a great statement, because you want to manage your expectations, guys. Like, you don't want to get too overzealous and I could market to Maryland if I wanted to, but what's the reality of me actually, following up on a property in Havre de Grace? It's just not going to happen. So to be more laser beam focused and niche down into one sliver of a lane, you're going to probably reap a bigger harvest by just being more laser beam focused. So the other thing too with the short sales, and this is another thing that I like about kind of getting into this market, is that they're delayed. So it's a way too that we can kind of keep, essentially like settlements kind of coming in. It's not going to be a 30-day time gap. It could be 60, it could be, it could be a year, but it's a nice way that there's always going to be action and activity going on within your real estate business, but there's nothing wrong with niching down and just being laser beam focused on this sliver and go after it. And then you can go kind of full force with it. I mean, the last campaign I did, even in Laurel, I was overwhelmed because you have to door knock. I had to literally drive around Laurel. And that's when I had my aha moment of, I'm not doing that again. It wasn't that I didn't like the door knocking. It was the time. And it was like, I spent literally like my whole day. I didn't eat. It was just that it wasn't a good utilization of my time, knocking on condos, knocking on townhouses, knocking on anything I could. And I really like this kind of approach. And I'm going to really incorporate this moving forward. Whatever that segment is, for me, it's going to be single family homes. That's what I'm going to market to. That's all I'm going to concern myself with. And, as I get that in place, like Jasmine was saying, now you could add townhouses to it, or you could add something else to it. But, don't look past the laser beam focus.
That was great contribution, Curtis. Thank you for sharing that. I want to reiterate something. Your interests are going to be different, and that is perfect. They're expected to be different. So don't feel like because we're talking about single families that you got to choose single families or you got to choose condos, right? Because you may look at your community and you may see that the townhomes are the ones that are selling, right and left. And those are the ones that are turning over hand over fist. Or you might see that the condos are doing it or the single family, but that's a part of your homework. You're going to have to actually go into Bright MLS and the target market that you're choosing or that farm area. You're going to actually have to look at those numbers and let the numbers be your guide. So you have a goal, but now you're going to measure that goal by the actual data that you're going to pull up. And if that data says, okay, well, you know what? I was focusing on single family homes between 4 and 7, but the ones between, 7 and $1 million are selling much more quickly and much more frequently. Or you might find, whether it's the condos, whatever it is, we're going to take this step by step. But the most important thing is that you have a laser-like focus, okay? So who is next? Amika.
So I was thinking for my area, it'd be great to focus on townhomes.
Mhm.
This is literally where I live. That's where what majority of the build is around there.
Mhm.
And then, yes, it's townhomes, but I guess new build, if I can get into that as well.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And Talita.
Okay, so just listening to the things that you said, a lot of homes out in the Jessup area, there are a lot of single family homes, but the people don't seem to move. There are older people that's been there forever. So that's just thinking that I should just go out a little bit. And well, that's why I had chosen Columbia, because it's townhomes and condos there, which would probably be easier, or more homes for sale in those areas. So just thinking of changing my farm area a little bit, because the people in my area don't move often. So I don't really see a lot of homes for sale. So going after the townhomes and condos in the Columbia area is where I would focus at.
That is great insight. Thank you for being aware of what's going on in your market. Very great insight. And you may find the same thing, because for each of us, your homework, if you haven't already done it, is going to be to go to Bright and then go to Realty Track for those of us that are interested in the pre-foreclosures and your short sales. You're going to actually go and look at your farm area, and then you're going to look at the homes that are available. And if you need to compare them to maybe another area that you're interested in to see which one is going to maximize the return on your investment, then let the numbers speak for themselves, guys, okay? We have one expectation, but when you look at the numbers, it may be spot on, it may be a little bit off, or it may be completely different than you thought. But before we start to invest marketing dollars into these marketing campaigns on a monthly basis, we want to make sure that you've done your research, you've done your homework, okay? So in terms of the information that you're going to need to know about your farm area, you're going to need to know, again, well, first of all, let me ask you guys, because I shared some of this information in the beginning, what is important for you to know about your farm area?
What's selling and who your competition is?
That's important.
And I want to know the demographics. I want to know the age group, the income level. I want to know what, if it's a area that, like I said, this has this growth, if they're doing smart growth, if it's an area that there's a lot of new construction. I want to find out as much as I can, because depending on what the answers to that is will determine how much time I want to really devote to it. So I'm really trying to find out the demographics of it. And I'm also trying to find out not only the population, but what if it's younger people, younger couples, and what the income levels are, that where people are, where they are as far as what the affordability. So
Excellent contribution. Who's next?
So vibing off of what Kerman said, then it sounds like we would be interested in knowing, okay, so is this a school age population that's moving in? Are these families who are moving in? Are they moving up? Are they moving out? And, so moving in, moving up, moving out. So are they professionals? Are they family owners? Are they family oriented? Are they young professionals who, are just getting started? Who's in there? Why is the population constantly shifting? And that's something that I see in the farm area that I'm in, because I'm familiar with it, but I just never think about actually doing the real research, because I see it all the time. And so you're saying that to do the real research and know the numbers and be, really be fluent in that.
Absolutely. And this information is readily available to us in Bright MLS. So neighborhood information and statistics and all that good stuff. This information is available, and we are getting short on time. I want to just ask a different question. So for those who haven't had a chance to respond just yet, as it pertains to marketing campaigns and marketing dollars, tell me what you think the difference in a marketing piece would look like for a community that is full of school-age children versus one that is for a retirement community. Is there going to be a difference in terms of the marketing campaign that you choose? Is there going to be a difference in terms of the way that you relate to and reach out to those communities? What type of insight is that going to give you in terms of being able to establish a campaign that's going to resonate with those people? So you can answer any of those or anything along that line of thinking.
Well, Ms. Porter, I noticed that a lot of schools in their various areas, they will let you know what score. There are a lot of the schools are score driven, so they'll tell you, what the school, if it's a blue ribbon winner, if it's what the score is, if it has strong science and tech, or whatever the case may be. So I think a lot of times with parents, they're one of the things that major things they're interested in, and that's really what drives them to certain areas of the school district, the school zone. Along with that, I think that a lot of people are really interested in, is it an area where the taxes, what the tax rate and everything is? I think people are really concerned about, is there tax, are there tax constraints? Also, a lot of people that I've talked to, it's amazing how some people there, it's either no in between. They either hate HMOs, not HMO, they either hate HOAs or they love them. So I think that comes into play a little bit too. That's what I have been finding out, that a lot of people absolutely no HOA. Some people love a HOA. And so those are just two of the things that I've run into.
Thank you for sharing, Kerman. Does anybody else have any thoughts about what the marketing would look like for the varied communities that we've named based on the things you need to know about your farm area? And I say that with the caveat that there are a number of other things that we need to know about our farm area, but those are the things that we're going to kind of close out with for today, because we are at the end of our time.
Well, I think that one of the things to really, again, niching down, if we're specifically looking at short sales and potential foreclosures, the marketing material can be very, I could market to an older person looking to retire, or a young couple if they're about to be foreclosed on. So the language and the marketing of being of service, of helping, of, I'm here for you, can kind of transpire between any real demographic, because this specific niche is in trouble. So you can kind of really look at short sales and the foreclosure. And that's what I'm looking at, is like, if I buy certain marketing materials, if they're in trouble, it would speak to anybody that's about to be foreclosed on. So then the language and kind of like how you approach them is a place of service, a place of care. I'm here for you. It's okay. And you would, want that kind of marketing material or marketing message to come through, that you're there for them, regardless of their situation, wherever class they are. Because if it's a short sale, they need help.
Thank you for sharing that, Curtis. I am going to go ahead and start closing us down because it is 1:31 and I want to honor your guys' time. We will stay on the line for a few minutes after for anybody who would like to stay and maybe continue the discussion or have a totally different question that you'd like to ask about, anything that's going on in the market or transaction or whatever have you, okay? We will pick up same time, same place next week, Realty Talks. Thank you guys for taking the time to join us today. I'm going to go ahead and end our recording there. All right.
Okay.